The rules are clear. Just come on in. You can't even answer the question. Do you say XRP is a security?
Well, we're in court and active discussions and litigation on that matter.
You're in litigation because you do say it's a security. As you know, let's move on a little bit. As you know, qualified custodian banks would effectively be unable to provide crypto asset-related custody as a result of punitive capital impact under accounting provisions in Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. Do you agree that the bulletin should be amended?
I think that the staff addressed an accounting issue and appropriately saw that crypto assets held in custody today are not segregated or not bankruptcy remote in bankruptcy and should be appropriately put on public company financials.
I wish I had time to go into the ESG rule and everything else, but Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. The failures are many, but let me cite some of the abuses. You average more than 2 rules proposals a month. You provide inappropriately short comment periods. You have unworkable and unlawful ESG disclosure mandates on the market. You have essentially a Hotel California rule for crypto where you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. You have endless discovery with no resolution and no clarity for the captives in the market. You have unworkable proposals for overhauling equity market structure, a de facto ban on crypto through proposed custody rule. You have high staff turnover, unhappy people leaving your office, and unhappy companies and capital leaving our country. To correct a long series of abuses, I'm introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where all authority would reside. Former chairs of the SEC will be ineligible under my proposed bill. And this isn't just my take. It resonates across the political spectrum. The American people want democratic access to capital, retail investor participation. You can't just exclude retail investors from markets and claim it's for their own good. Our markets need to function and flourish, and I yield back.
Last 5 seconds.
The gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Rhodes, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to follow up on Mr. Himes' comments earlier and congratulate Chairman McHenry on getting you here so quickly in the 118th Congress. Chair Gensler, it's been a while since you've been here and testified before this committee, and I want to know, how did you manage to go more than a whole year and more than half of the 117th Congress without testifying before this committee?
Congressman, I've been in front of this committee under 3 presidents, under 7 or so chairs. I must say I enjoy being in this committee room and being in front of you, but I don't know. That was up to Chair Waters at the time.
So I'm wondering, when the Democrats were in the majority, did they not reach out to you all of last year about testifying, or did they ask you to testify and you just refused or declined to come?
I stand ready. Whomever's in the chair's seat, I'm stand ready to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here. I want to shift gears a little. It currently costs just $2,000, you might say, for an individual or group of individuals to submit a shareholder proposal, obviously owning a stake in the company. Many companies have millions of investors who will each spend potentially several hours considering such a proposal to make an informed voting decision. As your agenda continues to make it easier for activists to have their shareholder proposals included on company proxies, why haven't you considered the costs that will be borne by those millions of other shareholders?
Shareholder democracy is an important part of the fabric of our capital markets and has been since Rayburn helped write these laws. And so we do take into consideration cost and benefits of the rules.
When you were justifying your decision to roll back the 2020 proxy advisor reforms, you seemed very concerned with the cost borne by proxy firms. Why was that weighted so heavily?
Well, it was only one of the costs, if I recall the analysis, but there were other costs and benefits that were weighed as well. And I think that it really was about moving forward that they could provide that information to the investing public in a timely way and then investors get to decide whether to vote yes or no on various proxies.
In January, I wrote to you and joined by some of my colleagues, Mr. Stile here and Mr. Sessions, I wrote to you regarding my concerns with the new approach articulated in Staff Legal Bulletin 14L and the unprecedented low rate of shareholder proposals permitted to be excluded by SEC staff during the most recent proxy season. I'll note that you did not respond to this letter. I hope you will do so. Is it common practice for you to miss deadlines and ignore requests from members of this committee?
No, I thank you for reminding me. I will take a close look at that letter.
I appreciate that. I hope you will. Shift gears again. The SEC's proposed climate change rule, which we've discussed already today, including reporting on so-called Scope 3 financed emissions, which would require financial institutions to collect and report on the emissions activity of their customers, including privately held farms and small businesses, and even state and local municipal governments. Chair Gensler, do you think it is appropriate for the SEC to use disclosure requirements to shape access to capital for American businesses and families, or even local government entities?
Again, we're merit neutral, and the climate risk disclosure rule is only about public companies. It's not about those private, non-public companies.
And I heard you say that earlier, but I guess I fail to see how you can't see that if Scope 3 disclosures are required, that those public companies are, in fact, going to be pressing municipalities, small businesses, small farmers for the information that is necessary for them to comply with the rule that you've proposed.
So if I can address it in two ways. One, our proposal was only that a company that said it was material to them or they were making certain future commitments, they would disclose it, but they can use estimates, they could use frameworks, they could use templates and so forth. But two, we've heard a lot from the public comment period. The public comment period helps us, and I've asked staff to consider how we can look at this to address those comments, whether it's from the farm community or small business communities across America, because we only oversee the 7,000 or 8,000 public companies. It is not a rule about the rest.
Thank you. I hope indeed we see that reflected in whatever emerges. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman from North Carolina.